Hi, everyone. It's Kelly from the Hub here today with our friend Sharon from the WellSpan Wellness Center. How are you there, friend?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So we are talking today about the road to wellness, and we chatted a little bit before this, and not that this is, so this is a challenging topic normally that, talking about wellness in terms of like addiction things and mental health, other mental health stuff and whatever, that's a challenge in and of itself. But I think now under in the world that we're living in, with all the stuff going on, I don't I think we're all facing a challenging road to our own definition of wellness. So what do you how can you help people? What's your advice? How do you make this work better than it is right now?
The first and I think foremost thing is that wellness is not the absence of disease. You can be well and still have chronic health issues like diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure. It doesn't mean you're not well. It means you have a health issue that you need to focus on. So that would be diet, exercise, reducing your stress. We have no stress in today's world,
Not
do
a
we?
drop, not a drop. And you know what? I think that that's a very important point to say, is that I think that people think of wellness in terms of perfection rather than in terms of making improvements.
Exactly.
I mean, okay, I do. I think if someone's like, "Oh, I'm on the path to wellness," I'm always like, "Oh yeah, I'm never going to be able to do that." So. Because it's like this special, it's like heaven. You know what I mean? Heaven is the goal. So, and wellness I always sort of equate, and incorrectly, with this nirvana perfection state. And that's not true. So thank you for making me feel a little better about that.
And it also wellness includes mental health as well as physical health and spiritual health. All of that, all of the components that we learn about. I mean, maybe you don't have any physical problems, but you're depressed.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're have some kind of you're mentally well, but you have some kind of physical ailment. So we have to look at all the components, and they're interrelated. And what's going on right now? When we are under chronic stress,
yeah.
which we are under chronic stress. That chronic stress, because stress creates a hormone called cortisol, which most of us know about. But it creates, and then that creates a chain reaction of other hormones. And our body needs that fight or flight. We need to run from the tiger. Yeah. Well, when we are constantly feeling like we have to run from the tiger, the body doesn't go back to a period of balance with those hormones. So those hormones are constantly floating through our system. And over time, that does affect our physical health. So they're very, very related. Mm-hmm. So anything that calms those hormones down, the cortisol, the things going through our system like that, and what calms us down. Every one of us has different things.
Right.
And I'm talking about calming us down in a way that supports wellness. So not drinking alcohol, doing drugs, smoking cigarettes, that does not support wellness. So we want to look at things like going for a walk, meditation, talking to a friend, taking a bubble bath for some people, hot shower for other people, healthy snack, reading a good book, reading something uplifting. We are filling our minds with negativity every day. I mean, first thing I do, I'm guilty of this myself. First thing I do in the morning is I grab my phone and scroll through the news because I want to see if somebody got hurt, was the world blown up? Was there an earthquake? I mean, I wake up looking for negativity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's almost become like this morning, I didn't do that. And my whole routine was like, ooh, maybe I need to check. And then I started getting phone calls about, can you believe? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to avoid this.
Right. You try to avoid it and then it shows up anyway. And you're like, well, that wasn't the point of my morning. Yeah.
Right. So constantly kind of having to like brush away that negativity because what do we live in right now? We don't focus on the kindness of other people. We focus on the mean-spiritedness of other people. We don't focus on what we have to be grateful for. We complain about what we don't have. We don't focus on things are bad right now, and they always weren't bad, and they always aren't going to be bad. But I mean, this pandemic, everybody's like, the world's going to end.
Yeah.
It's like people are running around, Chicken Little, the sky's falling, the sky is falling.
Right. Every day is worse than it was yesterday. Right.
Yes, because part of that is we do feel like the sky is falling because our ability to control our environment has been affected. And that's scary and makes us feel vulnerable, and we don't want that. So we rather than say, you know, I'm really kind of afraid right now, like what's going to happen, we lash out in anger. Anger is also often the output of fear.
And we can see that all over the news. But
Absolutely.
we can also, I mean, I think if we all took an honest look at ourselves, we could see that in ourselves as well. You know, are you a little testier on the road? Are you a little grouchy when you see a political sign that you don't like? Are you a little grouchy when you're in a store? Or I mean, like any of those kinds of, you know, or there's a colleague at work and now you really, you know, all those little things that normally you would be like, psst.
And you're exactly right, Kelly. And those are all symptoms of stress. When we start getting like that, in the ideal world, we need to back up, really sit for a minute, take a deep breath and say, what's going on? I'm really testy today and it's Thursday, but it's probably because something happened on Monday that I didn't own, that I didn't address, and I brushed it away. So, you know, it's like when you get mad at the kids, you don't talk about you didn't take the trash out today. You talk about you didn't mow the lawn a week ago.
Right. And that has nothing to do with what you're talking about right now, but you're so grouchy. You just bring all that. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
And sometimes the unknown of the world does make us feel very vulnerable. So having a good friend you can talk to, wonderful, like you, Kelly, you know, that I can say, hey, I'm feeling really vulnerable today and it scares me. I don't like it.
Right.
And
I mean, Sharon and I
yeah, I get it. And doesn't change anything, but it lets me express it.
Sharon and I talked about this earlier, that for a person to say that they're vulnerable, that they're having a hard time today professionally, that can be very complicated. I mean, Sharon and I are colleagues and friends. We don't work in the same place, but if we did, and I say to her, Sharon, you know what, I don't know, this is really hard today. This is going to be really challenging for me to get through it. She could go to our boss and go, well, you see, Kelly can't handle it. So being vulnerable, especially in a time where you still have to perform at work, you still have to perform at home, all of those things. Being vulnerable can be incredibly scary. So instead of doing it, you're like, oh no, it's fine, it's great, everything's wonderful, it's so good to see you, ha 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 ha. And because you can't talk about it, or do whatever. Like, I'm a person who has to talk about it. Some people have to think about it. Some people can draw it out or whatever their thing is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't,
Mm-hmm.
if you're a talker and you can't talk about it, then what do? Then
Mm-hmm.
you just don't do it, and then you're grouchy and you show people your fingers more often, and that's not good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So when you have a wellness plan and you're aware of this, and some people like to sit down and write them out, like you said. Other people like, my wellness plan is I'm gonna like wait at least an hour before I look at the news.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's a certain reality. We want to know what's going on to some degree, but not to get caught up in it.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is looking within. What can I control in my life and what can I? Accept the things I cannot change and change the things I can. And if I focus on the things I can, and maybe today what I can focus on is today I can make my bed. Today I can cook a meal. Today I have food to cook. I'm grateful for that today. And we really have to focus on being accountable and responsible for us. Not be a victim and wait for someone else to make the change that we want. And we have to do it in a way that is really respectful of others. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying we have to agree with everybody,
Right.
because that would be so boring.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine?
No, I cannot. Not at all.
No lively discussions, But just to say, I don't believe that. That's not my philosophy. I don't agree, whatever.
Yeah.
But then look at how am I doing that? Am I making that person I don't agree with a devil that has to be fought?
Right.
That's evil? Or am I just looking at that person that has a different opinion? It's still a person. It's still a human being. Because then I don't like me when I get like that. When I get judgmental and mean-spirited, I don't like me. And if I don't like me, that's not supporting my mental wellness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then I have to justify that I really am a good person and justify that I had every right to feel that way or do that behavior.
Yeah.
So I spent all that time and energy justifying behavior that wasn't appropriate to begin with.
It's interesting because I did that yesterday, and I think one of the hardest parts for a lot of people is having that moment when you can be honest with yourself and go, "Hey, what did you just do?" And I'm not saying you have to be hard on yourself, but you can go, "Whew, I need to sit a minute and just sit a minute." But I think having that self-awareness can be really difficult. And I mean, you have taught me. You're not thinking from this part of your brain, that like amygdala that lives in there that you're just like, gut reaction, yes, no, yes, kill, leave, all that stuff. You have to think with this part of your brain where it's logical and thoughtful and you're self-aware and you take a moment and you really talk about it in your head and do that stuff. And I was in the car and I said something nasty out loud. There was nobody in the car, but I said something nasty and I went, "Hey there, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And I was like, and I actually said to myself out loud in the car, "Do you like who you are when you say that? Because that was nasty. What are you doing to yourself?"
Yep.
And I went, "Okay, all right.
There is a lot of truth to the fact that when we do things like that, it says more about us than the person that we're aiming at. And to back up, and we all, as human beings, get angry, sad, lonely, scared. Those are all normal reactions.
Yep.
And the wellness part of that is to own them and just say, today I'm angry, today I'm sad, today I'm really hurt.
Yeah.
How many times do you say, that person really hurt my feelings? Ooh, what are you, a wuss? Like, suck it up.
Right. And with people that we talk to at the hub, and I know this is the same thing that you guys do at Wellspan, I model that behavior because I want those people to be able to say, I just don't know what to do. This is really hard for me. Can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
Because allowing them to be vulnerable means we can find out what's going on, and we can get to a place, you're right, to be on that road, on that path, so that they can improve.
One of the
So
things
I
that
have to do it myself to show them it's okay to do it.
and have it be a culture.
Yeah.
The environment, the culture of the environment.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's, oh, well, I'm just going to be this kind of self-righteous person and I'm going to say, it's okay. Well, no.
Right.
It needs to be a culture. In the one place I worked many years ago, we had staff meetings every day. And every day, the boss would start the staff meeting by asking how every one of us was. How are you today? And I'm telling you, some of us really went through a lot of things personally, and it didn't become the focus of the staff meeting because we had business to attend to, but it became the focus of compassion and the support and camaraderie that built within the staff was, I don't know that it could ever be replicated.
Yeah.
So it's that same kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
But if we walk around in this chronic state of stress, you are absolutely 100% right. Chronic stress makes the amygdala part of the brain more active than this part. So we walk around in, I've heard it called pandemic fog. You're kind of in a fog. You aren't really focused.
Yeah. I was reading called COVID brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's that kind of feeling. And it's part of it, not all of it. It's never cause and effect exactly.
Right.
But part of it is we don't know who to trust. Do we trust the government? Do we trust the leaders? Do we trust people making decisions, shut down, open up, schools closed, schools not closed? Half the people want this, half the people want that. We don't know who to trust. And when trust is gone, it creates tremendous turmoil and anxiety. So that's when we really need to look at, do we trust ourselves?
Right.
Do we trust when we get a thought? Do we trust that, we can do this? Do we trust our feelings? What do we trust about us? I want to wait and make you the person I trust. So if you fail, I can blame you. Because if I trust myself and fail, I don't want to blame myself because I don't want to be hard on myself. So rather than say, we all make mistakes and I'm going to learn from this and move on, it's still better than waiting and being a victim for somebody out there to fix the problem.
Right.
How
This
many
road
people?
to wellness thing is hard, man. I mean, I didn't expect we were going to have easy answers anyway, but this is.
Well, it's all about accountability and responsibility.
Right.
It's all about looking in and saying, if I really want to be well, I need to practice some kind of stress reduction, whatever that is for me.
Yeah.
I need to eat healthy. I need to do some kind of movement to keep this body oiled and going.
Right. Right.
And how many people don't trust their physicians or their medical providers, so they don't take their medications appropriately.
Right. Right.
So again, that needs to be, I've often asked people where they got their medical degree. When they come to me and they tell me, oh, well, I'm not taking this, I'm not taking that, but now they can't breathe and their blood pressure is high. And, oh, well, how is not taking medication working for you?
Right. Right. But that's trust. And so in order to bridge that, you have to figure out, why are they not trusting people? Well, they're not trusting people because, and then that's the whole, so that you can't get on the road to wellness until you find the trust. Right. Right. So this is complicated.
Trust is one of the earliest developmental things we learn.
Yeah.
And yes, again, you get the gold star today, Kelly.
Yes, you've taught me well.
But if somebody doesn't trust, that's exactly where I go. And it's about attachment. Those early attachments
Yep.
were not created that provided trust. So that's an issue then that we work on to develop trust. And it starts by trusting yourself and not thinking everybody's out to get you. And that's all part of that developmental,
Right.
very early, preschool age. So it's
Right.
not when the kids got to school, the teacher screwed them up. It's preschool age.
Right. Right.
That they develop these ideas, the internal model of the world that I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we have to believe in ourselves.
I think we could talk about Road to Wellness several times, because I think that this is one of those things that you need a reminder for yourself.
And it is so helpful to have a buddy.
Yeah.
This road to wellness is difficult. And in today's times, the pandemic has just made everything else so much worse.
Yeah.
There have been some good things that have come out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But right, the fear and the lack of trust have made things really challenging.
And the lack of connection.
Yeah.
Because lack of connection helps heal the lack of trust. So it's that cycle.
Yeah. Oh, Sharon, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. This has been great. We've got more to talk about next week, everyone. So tune in again. We will chat. We will chat again soon.
Alrighty. Take care.
Cheers, everybody.
See ya.